All right, this is for those who would like to correct their Unit 2 test, and I'm printing out the CBA, so I'm going to try and squeeze it all in one video. If not, then I'll upload another video. But for starters here, it says a movie theater sells tickets for groups of 35 students for $210. Which statement best describes this proportional relationship? So this is basically K equals Y over X, and if I were to make a table, it would be students and cost, and 35 students want to go, so that costs $210. And this would also be my X column and my Y column. So I'd have to do a ratio where I would just divide these two numbers. For number 2, it says each week Stephen earns $60 for 3 hours. Again, make a table. That's probably going to be the underlying strategy for the whole entire test, especially dealing with multiple representations. Everything is based off of a table. And with the table, you have X and Y values, and you also can create X and Y coordinate pairs. Okay? So it says Stephen earned $60 for 3 hours of work. Which graph expresses the relationship between Stephen's hours worked and his corresponding earnings? So they give me $60. So this is my dollars, and this is my hours. So I get 3 and 60. Now I always want to know how much it is for 1 hour. So in order to get from 3 to 1, I have to divide by 1. I'm sorry, divide by 3, because this is technically a ratio table since it's proportional. And then whatever I do to the left, I have to do to the right. And you can also put plus and minus here if you're looking for the rate of change. But they already give me the rate of change. It's 3 for every 60, or 60 per 3. Okay, so 3 divided by 3 is 1. 60 divided by 3 is 20. These are my coordinate pairs. 1 and 20, 3 and 60 are what I need to find in my answers. Again, you run 1 and you jump 20 to plot those points and see if they're in that table or in that given graph. Question number 3. They have already plotted the points for you, just like they did in the last question, but now they want to know what the constant of proportionality is. This is also the rate. So the graph below represents the cost of markers. How much is it for 1 marker is my main concern. The 2 points are shown on the graph. So you run 3 and you jump 450. So for 3 markers, it costs $4.50. For 5 markers, it costs $7.50. Make a table. Markers, cost. The dollar sign. When we're using rates, the dollar sign always goes on top. Dollars per marker. Money over everything with these rates. Okay? Whenever they say cost per pound, cost per hour, cost per marker, cost per book, cost always goes on top. Okay? But when we're making a table, we figure out how many we're buying before we figure out how much we pay. So make a table with your 2 points. 3 markers cost $4.50. 5 markers cost $7.50. Another thing that I noticed is that I can manipulate my table to do whatever I want it to do, just like I just did on that previous problem. So what if I want 6 markers? How do I get from 3 to 6? Times 2, and then whatever I do to the left, I have to do to the right. So times 2 again. 4.5 times 2 is 9. I need to know, how much it costs for 1 marker. That is my unknown. So in order to do that, according to my notes, K equals Y divided by X. I have 3 different Y's. I have 3 different X's. I can put them in a fraction, top in, bottom out, and find your answer. Given the table below, what is the rate of change? You were given notes on how to find a rate of change, which is delta Y over delta X. M is the letter because it's in the formula y equals mx plus b. Delta y is the change in y. So this is where we're going to see something different. Instead of multiplying and dividing like I did up here, we're going to see something different. They've given me the whole table. I need to figure out, well, what are they doing from y to y and from x to x over change in x. So from -6 to 2 and 3 to 5. Well, I know that this is plus 2, but sometimes I have a hard time with integer operations. This is speaking from a 7th grader's perspective, so I need to look at something else. So let's go from 10 to 18 and 18 to 26. What are we doing each time? Now I can figure it out. We're adding 8. -6 plus 8 equals 2, plus another 8 equals 10, plus another 8 equals 18, plus another 8 equals 26. That's how they got this. So now I need to take my change in y, which is, here's my y column over here, and then my change in x, and then divide them. Again, y is always on top, y is always on top. Here I'm not finding a change in y and x because it's consistent. It's a multiplicative relationship. Multiplicative. This was in your constant and proportionality note. This is probably a multiplicative and an additive relationship because I need to do something else to my x value to get the y. Hence why we use TPV charts to find out what happened. Anyway, change in y is 8 over change in x, and then you divide that to get your answer. 5. The table below represents the amount of money Anaya saves over several months. Which equation best represents the linear relationship shown in the table below? This is where I need to make a TPV chart. TPV. I only need 2 points to make a line and an equation. Okay? So I could do 3, 6, 12, and then 3, 16, 532, and 9, 64. So my step 1 is put parentheses in the term in the process column. Whoops. Now my next step is to find the rate of change. How do I get from 316 to 532? And how do I get from 3 to 6? Over here, this is easy. I'm adding 3. Over here, I need to do some work. 532 minus 316. 12 minus 6 is 6. 2 minus 1 is 1. 5 minus 3 is 2. So this is 216. My next step is to find the rate of change. Delta y over delta x. I have 216 over 3. That answer is 72. How did I get it? Well, 216 divided by 3. 3 goes into 21 7 times. 7 times 3 is 21. 3 goes into 6 2 times. 6, no remainder. 72. This is my delta, or my m, my delta y over delta x. I put my rate of change in each parentheses. Then I figure out what I need to do from here to get to here. So what's 72 times 3? Well, I just did that. It's 216. How do I get from 216 to 316 though? This is my additive relationship. MX plus B. This is my Y. This is my X. I have to add 100. 72 times 6 is 432. I have to add 100. 72 times 12 is 864. I have to add 100. And if you want to know how quickly I did that math, is I just subtracted 100 from this to get this. Subtract 100 from this to get this. So then I need to choose the proper answer that tells me that I'm multiplying by 72 and then adding 100. Here, 2x, or 2/7 x minus 10 equals negative 42. Find the value of x. Draw your river. Whoops. Add 10 to both sides because I have to undo this minus 10 by adding a 10. These 10s will cancel out. I have 2/7 x equals negative 42 plus a positive 10. These are different signs, so I need to subtract, which is 32. And then I have to take the sign of the bigger number, which is negative. Now, to get rid of this 2/7, I have to flip, then multiply. This is the keep, change, flip. If you're dividing by a fraction, which you're technically doing, you're taking negative 32 and dividing by 2/7. So flip it. It becomes 7/2. This becomes 7/2. These cancel out. X is equal to, come over here to the side, 32 times 7 divided by 2. I'm going to simplify by crossing this out. 32 divided by 2 is negative 16 times 7. 16 times 7, and it needs to be negative. 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 1 plus 4 is 11. Bam. Negative 112. Okay, I wasn't supposed to give y'all that answer, but I was getting carried away. Number 7, the cost of 9 ounces of Flamin' Hot Cheetos is $3.51. Money over ounces, because money always goes on top. What is the constant proportionality that relates to the cost in dollars, Y, to the number of ounces in Flamin' Hot Cheetos, X? Y over X, you need to divide. Number 8. The graph relates to the distance that a freight train travels from station A to station B over time. I have D, I have T. Which equation describes the motion of the train? Okay. You guys had your notes out for this test. So I have D and T. That means I need to relate it to distance equals rate times time, my DIRT formula. Here, I have these 4 answers. And according to your note that you received on DIRT, I didn't do any adding or subtracting. I have already made my chances of getting this question correct higher. Now, as I said before, you need to make a table. Time and distance, though, is my X and Y. So, look at the points that you can see on the graph. Run and jump, run and jump, run and jump, run and jump. How far did I run and jump here? 1 to 25. How far did I run and jump here? 2 to 50. 3 to 75. 4 to 100. Well, if you can count quarters in a dollar, you should be able to figure out what this relationship is. If I have 1 hour, how far am I going? If I go 2 hours, how far am I going? What is my rate? My rate equals my distance divided by the time, and this formula was in your notes that you were allowed to use on the test.